What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 31 of Feel the Heat on a slight delay because I had to pay bills last night, but Michael was sweet enough to reschedule. Mr. Michael, how are we feeling after the win?
Feeling great. A little disappointed that 82-0 isn't going to happen. Honestly, I really think they could get there. I think they could get there. This team looks
You're
amazing.
still holding on to that.
Yes, of course I'm holding on to that. They shouldn't have lost to the Pacers. This is the real number one team in the East, and that is no shade at any other city or team that may be in the Midwest, something like the Windy City. I don't know. But this is the real number one seed in the East. This is.
Did I say the Bulls were going to seed higher than the Heat? Because I don't recall saying that.
Doesn't matter. The Heat are the best team in the NBA.
I don't disagree.
Exactly. So I was the one that predicted the Heat going to the finals, right?
That's fine. But I also said that the Heat are more built for the playoffs. So let's slow your roll.
I'm upset I was wrong because at this point, my prediction should have been the Heat winning the finals. Because listen, I get
so
it.
Extra.
I get it. We're all looking too far ahead. We get too excited about the beginning of the season. This 6-1 start is unlike any I have ever seen the Heat make.
That's fair.
The 1920 season, the bubble season.
Mm-hmm.
The Heat also started, I think it was 6-1, if not 5-1 to start. That was a lot closer. The quality of opponents wasn't the same. This team has absolutely dominated their opponents, and other players come out scared to play them. And I think the only reason why the Mavs played as well as they did today is because Luka really riled them up after that whole Tyler Herro thing. And listen, you ain't gotta lie, Luka. Tyler got your shit today, boy. You got rocked.
Luka looked so sad at the end of the game. Part of me was like, haha, but then the other part was like, oh, you poor Slovenian boy.
Oh, I don't feel bad for him at all.
I don't know. The look on his face, he was just like so demoralized.
Yeah, because you realized you are nowhere near baby goat, bro. Step aside.
He didn't comment on that whole ordeal, though, did he? I don't think him or Trae Young said anything. Yeah, okay.
I mean, what are they going to say?
No, I'm just saying, because like that would have been wild if they did.
That'd be really weird if they came out and were like, oh, no, that guy's not on our level at all.
Okay, but I could kind of see Trae doing that like a little bit.
Sure. And then I could see him promptly following that up with like a 5 for 15 3-point performance in the next game where he makes some really nice deep ones, but then he also misses some really makeable shots. It's like, Trae, what's this inconsistency?
No, that's fine. I'm not arguing. I think the only person who's really addressed it has been Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
Although Charles Barkley had some stupidity to say today. I don't know if you saw the halftime show. He alluded to the fact that Tyler's basically playing with a bunch of scrubs because he's in the second unit, which is why he looks so good. And it's like, have you watched literally not even any other Heat game, just the one that you are currently doing analysis for? Like, did you watch any of the game? Sometimes I'm like, does he even believe half the stuff he's saying, or is it just a bit at this point?
If it gets, and this is what I think I've learned, if it gets clicks and views, you're doing something right. That's what a lot of the narrative is when it comes to this media stuff. So if it gets our attention, he's doing something right for his job. I think even he knows what he's saying is dumb, but he's just trying to get the attention.
I don't know. I feel like there's one thing to say something for shock value, and there's another to just literally make it seem like you don't know how to do your job. But that is neither here nor there. In terms of the actual game itself, give me like one standout thing that you noticed.
The way that this team was able to bounce back as well and as quickly as they did really like showed out to me. So like they started pretty rough to start out the first quarter. Mm-hmm. And the Mavs also, a lot of it was just the Mavs were hitting everything. Like sometimes that just happens. I mean, what was it? Jalen Brunson looked like a freaking all natural Malik Monk out there scoring those 25 points the way he did.
That's the way to put it.
Hey, listen, Malik Monk has got our number.
Yeah, but an all natural.
Yeah, all natural, like he's I'm not thinking organic. He's like an organic.
It makes it seem like Malik Monk had like some sort of like work done or like hair plugs.
He was playing in Charlotte, so it's a little bit different. But in Dallas, I don't even know where I'm going with this. The way they were able to bounce back as well as they did, though, they scored 46 points in that second quarter. They absolutely started dominating the game from there. And they had a lot of big momentum moments in a place where the Heat historically don't play that well. There's one specific sequence that I'll talk about later when I bring up my culture player of the week. But till then, yeah, that 46-point second quarter, the way they just absolutely and quickly took the game back and were like, this is ours, you can't have it. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I think for me, it was just the fact that we're continuing to play team ball. I think I've said this literally since preseason. It's so nice to not have to rely on one guy. And if that one guy isn't hitting, we're doomed. I feel like
kind of the case in the first quarter, though, to be fair.
It was, but to your point, we did get out of that, which is, I think, only speaks to the fact that without that team ball, we don't do very well. I'm going to take it back for a second to the Pacers game. I'm not saying that we would have necessarily like 100% guaranteed a win with Kyle there, but Kyle not being there obviously put more weight on the other guys. So I just think that the responsibility was spread out well on both ends of the floor. And we're just like firing on all cylinders at this point, except for your boy Duncan, who fouled out.
You see,
it was not his night. Listen, it was not his night. I'm not
didn't need to be.
You're not concerned at all about him?
Time out. Did the Heat win by 15?
No, it's not about that. I'm talking about him specifically. Are you concerned?
No, but I haven't been concerned all season.
At what point do you hit concern? Because I can't remember if it was on a post game or on Clutch Corner. Honestly, might have even been a halftime spaces. But at one point, Royal was saying like he hits like the 18 to 20 game mark. And that's where he's like, okay, pumping the brakes. Duncan has an issue. Are you with that?
Yeah,
okay.
That makes a lot of sense. This is a very small sample size. Just like it would be an overreaction for me to genuinely sit here and say the Miami Heat are going to run away with the season and win the NBA Finals. It's an overreaction because it's only 7 games.
Wait, no way. You don't actually think that they're final bound right now? The ring's not on their finger already, Michael?
The ring isn't on the finger, but they should start getting it sized. That is something I will say, right? It's like when you're in a relationship that you know is going to lead to engagement. So you already have those conversations because you know where that's going to go. That's kind of the stage where I can't relate
to that, but
that's kind of the stage that the Heat are at right now. Okay. So, but yes, it is an overreaction to say the Heat are foregone conclusion. They're going to be the NBA
would say
champions.
So, yes. But if there's one thing Heat Twitter's good at, it's overreacting.
Yeah, that's what we do as fans. We've had this.
I got lumped into Heat Twitter via DM today. And I was like, can we separate me as a Heat fan from me as Heat Twitter land? Like, can we just?
But you not wanting to be part of Heat Twitter that's pretty sad. Like Heat Twitter is, I
don't think so. I think I'm okay.
Place. They have moments.
I like watching Heat Twitter, from afar, like just keeping tabs on it. But I don't need to be like a full out member. I like to be like a visiting, like a guest in the clubhouse.
Okay, but you are a member of Heat Twitter.
I'm a visiting.
Much of our support comes from Heat Twitter as well. So maybe think about that before.
I I got some personal support that aren't even Heat fans. So.
Sure. But like, look, Heat Twitter has
I roll deep with my crew.
Look,
okay.
Heat Twitter has the moments, right? Like,
I just want us to be better. It's all about just bettering the group.
But Heat Twitter is doing what fans do. And I've had this conversation with you before. It's like, fans ride the wave. That's our job. Our job isn't to be, that like even keel all the time, like never too high, never too low. Leave that up to the people that run the team. Leave that up to the players themselves, right? Like
I'm gonna just remain.
No,
I'm gonna be me. No. I think like I've done since I literally came out of the womb. No. I'm just gonna be over here doing me. And y'all can do you.
Look, the overreactions happen, and it happens to everybody in everything. Look, how many people were ready to ship Tyler Herro this summer for literally anybody and complaining about, well, now the value's gone down, so what can we get for him? And now we're all sitting here talking about.
But I was not one of those people.
Sure, you weren't. But now we're all sitting here talking about how, even though Luka had a 33-point performance, Tyler outplayed him for a lot of stretches of that game.
Absolutely.
Like Luka did his thing, but Tyler looked great. And that's not something that we would have expected when everybody was talking about, oh, we got to trade him. These ups and downs happen, just like everybody now, in my opinion, is overreacting about Duncan. Duncan's in a funk. These things happen to all 3-point shooters. And if it doesn't, your name is Stephen Curry. right? Like that's basically it. So
my only problem with that is if he's in a slump, that's fine. And I do think that it does happen to shooters. Is he playable though? I mean, I don't really think he doesn't really bring much when he's not hitting. And on top of that, to have him foul out. Listen, today it wasn't a problem. Other guys were healthy. Other guys were playing well. It wasn't really necessary for him to be out there. But what happens if we were injured or guys are resting? It's those things that I think for me, that would become the big issue.
Sure. But that is one thing we can give him, right? Like what if we were injured? At least we always know we could rely on Duncan Robinson, because I think they said on the broadcast, this was like his 154th or 55th.
Sure, but I mean, if he's still in a slump, then look, he's a body. But
when Duncan Robinson is in a slump and not hitting his shots, it's very hard to justify playing him because he doesn't do anything else well enough for you to say, okay, he really still belongs out there. You still have to give him, and I know people don't like talking about it, but you still have to give him the gravity. They're never going to leave him open. They're just not going to.
True.
He can literally be 0 for 6 in a game. And if he's standing on the 3-point line, the defense is still going to run after him around the screens and everything to make something happen because of how good of a shooter he is. We saw the beginnings of what it can be like when he really explodes, right? He had that really great game once already, and that was this past Saturday night. So we've seen it happen. I think he just needs to start making that happen a little bit more. And again, it's not going to be every game. He's not going to be hitting 5 to 6 threes every game. But what does need to happen is he can't go 2 for 10. He can't.
Well, that's the thing. I would rather have a consistent Duncan, right? Like I'd rather have 3-4 threes a game, and he be fine, rather than going 2 for whatever and then hitting 5 to 6. Like I just want an even keel Duncan. I think at this point, and I think me and Royal also talked about this. It's in his head. It's a mental thing. Yeah. It's not like anything's wrong with his shot, which I think would be way worse. So I think he just needs to, get his confidence back. And the catch-22 is that in order to kill the slump, you need to keep shooting.
Exactly.
So I feel like we're just going to have to ride with it. But I was not expecting him to foul out.
I mean, it's going to happen, especially with a team like the Mavs and the way the refs were calling that game. I mean, the refs are calling basically everything. And we know that Duncan has a reputation of not getting much respect on defense. Mm-hmm. So even when he does make a clean play, they are still going to call him for something. So look, it was bound to happen. He didn't have the best of performances. Shooting wise, at least he was good. I mean, he didn't take a lot of shots, but that's because he wasn't out on the floor very much, and he didn't need to. I mean, Kyle was the one that was on fire today, 6 or 9 from 3. We haven't seen that from him yet, right? So it'll come. I do think we'll find the 3 to 4 3-point makes per game Duncan soon enough. I think he's just in a bit of a spell right now, and like you said, it's in his head. And anybody that plays sports know once it's in your head, especially because it's the same thing over and over again, it just kind of expounds on itself. And it's like, I missed another one. I missed another one. I missed another one. He's going to get back into it. I genuinely believe that. And I think he's starting to, you saw that the shooting is getting better. He just needs to calm it down with the fouls and stay out there.
In terms of Saturday, I did not watch the game live, but I tried to rewatch it. I don't think I saw the full game. It was like a condensed version. Did anything stick out to you? I know Bam wasn't playing, but that win looked great.
What stuck out to me a lot was the way the team kind of interacts with one another, just the way they kind of talk. So we had already heard, and again, this is kind of going on Duncan, but we had heard what they said about Duncan in some of those post-game press conferences and everything, where Jimmy called him the dumbest player he's ever played with.
God, I love Jimmy, man. What a unique character.
And Kyle said that, I don't know what they're paying us for if we're not making those shots, but glad they're paying us anyways, kind of thing. There was one moment that stuck out to me, and I mentioned it on the post-game show, and it was at the beginning of the game when Duncan, I think, was maybe like 1 for 4, right? He had only made like maybe 1 or 2 3-pointers by halftime. I remember Duncan like passed up a shot and passed it over, and they're walking out of the timeout, and Jimmy looks at Duncan and tells him, "Don't pass me the ball. What are you doing? Take the shot. Stop being stupid. Just take the shot." That's my guess from what I could see them mouthing. The way this team talks to one another, right? The way they interact. I even saw today against the Mavericks, there was one play where I think one of the cuts got misread and Kyle ended up throwing the ball away, and he kind of jogs back and he's like laughing with the other guys like, "Oh, this is what I was looking for. What are you doing? Okay, we'll figure it out and get it on the next one." This team just has so much cohesiveness for a group of guys that I don't think has been together that long.
No, the chemistry is wild. Right away.
It feels perfect. And that's why so many people are confident, right? Like, it's like they just got together and they look like a bona fide winner already against quality opponents. So I don't know. I know the chemistry thing is more your analysis, but that's what I've seen. I don't know if you want to dive deeper into that.
No, for sure. I think that even, there was bits and pieces of it last year. I said Dedmon came in and within one game, like he fully understood both sides of the floor, and also just like completely bought into the culture. But I think even more so now, it's not just Kyle either. I think PJ is obviously just, he embodies Heat culture already. I know PJ is my guy and I'm biased, but like it's a crazy good fit. I think he fits in. Even Kayla Martin looks right at home. I just think that this team was constructed perfectly. That doesn't mean that there's not going to be, ups and downs. It's a team like any other team, but I don't think they're going to have a problem in their identity. And I just think that that's what's been missing for the last two games. However, we do face the Celtics on Thursday in our new uniforms, which we'll talk about in a second. But how are you feeling about the Thursday matchup?
So I'm feeling very confident about the Thursday matchup, which makes me a little nervous about the Thursday matchup.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up because of what Marcus Smart was mouthing off.
And Marcus Smart, listen, a lot of people.
He has a point. He has a point. I was working that game, so I was looking at it probably in a super different lens than most people. And not to say, listen, first of all, I love Tatum. Like I wish Tatum was here and I want to get him in Miami at some point in time. Brown deserves his flowers too. Those guys went off. There is something to be said about what Marcus Smart was saying. I don't think he necessarily should have said that to the media. I think that's kind of a close quarters type of conversation.
Very Marcus Smart kind of thing to say.
It was. I also don't think it takes any accountability on his shortcomings. He didn't have an awful game, but I also think he could have stood to be a little better. So I don't think it was great that he said that publicly. But they clearly are not clicking chemistry wise, definitely not anywhere near what the Heat are doing. And the fact that the Bulls were able to come back and dismantle them. I don't know. I'm feeling good against the Celtics.
Yeah, I am feeling good against the Celtics. I think what I'm a little nervous about and what I think is going to start happening to the Heat a lot more moving forward is the Heat now have the target growing on their backs.
Yeah.
We knew coming into the season, this was going to be a real Heat team and that they were going to be good and a lot of preseason hype around them, but it was still a lot of talk about the Nets and the Bucks and what the rest of the East was going to do. Even Bing Bong up north in this stupid.
Okay. Knicks. I actually don't understand that. What is going on?
So there was, I think it was after the first game. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was after the first game where they beat the Celtics. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it was. Somebody was doing some interviews outside of the Knicks game and Knicks fans were losing their minds.
Right.
Like if they had just won an actual meaningful game. And and again, this is what I believe happened. I'm not 100%
Ricky's
sure.
going to come correct you if you're wrong. So
sure,
it's okay.
Whatever. I'll read it on his live feed whenever he listens to this. But I'm pretty sure one fan just kind of came up to the mic and just goes, bing bong, and just like does something like that. And now it's just like a thing tied with the Knicks.
I don't hate that, but.
Well, what I love is that now everybody's trolling the Knicks. So I think when the Magic, I think it was the Magic.
It was the Magic. That's when I saw it. And I was like, I don't even know what this means or what it's referencing.
Out bing bong with the final score.
Yeah.
Which was, listen, supreme levels
savagery.
Of right there with the Nigerian basketball team, honestly.
100%.
But what was I talking about?
Celtics.
Yeah, the Celtics. The Heat have the target growing on their backs now. So teams are going to really step up and it's going to be, you remember when the Heat had the big three and everybody was on their best game against the Heat?
Yeah.
Eventually, that's what the Heat are going to start facing. I'm not saying that this Heat team is a big three and that everybody else is going to play exactly at that level, but everyone's going to want to step up because they're like, okay, I want to dethrone the king, right? I want to get after what right now looks like the best team in the NBA. Mm-hmm. It includes the entire NBA, not just the Eastern Conference. So the Celtics are a team that if they step up, they are still a good and dangerous team. I just know that the Heat are better. So I do expect the Heat to win. I just think it'll be a little bit closer than some people imagine. Now, if the Heat go in and blow that thing out by like 30, 40 points, I'm right back on my NBA Finals stuff, man. Listen, they're going to win it all. No questions asked.
So if they lose, then you're going to take a little pause from that and then you'll come back in the next win. Is that
no,
what I'm
if they lose,
if
they lose, I'll pull an Allana and come up with an excuse and be like, the Celtics were just really
no, there are no excuses. I am steadfast. That's the difference between me and the rest of y'all. I think we're a great team. I think we're a top 3 team. I think we're built for the playoffs.
A top 3 team In the NBA,
in the
Eastern
East.
Conference. Oh.
No, I guess in the whole NBA right now.
Okay.
I was just saying in terms of Eastern predictions,
Behind or ahead of the Lakers.
Ahead, obviously. What like? Although,
Melo.
We'll listen, you brought it up. Melo is swacking out there. That's all I'm gonna say.
Is that a thing? Did I miss? Wait, sorry. Did I miss swacking?
Swacking. Swack.
It just sounds like you're trying to say so whack really fast. And you're like swack.
No, swacking threes.
Whoa. Okay, let's keep going with other stuff.
I feel like someone's gonna clip this and I'm gonna hate it, and I think it's gonna be Ricky J. Mark. But culture player of the week.
I will let you go first. Nope. Ladies first.
Okay, mine is Kyle, and it's for several reasons. First of all, quick little story time, because I tweeted this briefly as well. I was watching the game and literally just by myself in my apartment, because I talk to myself pretty often. I literally out loud said, this man totally has fire sign energy. Did a quick Google search. Of course, he's an Aries. So for that reason alone, Kyle gets a big nod from me. Yes, Mr. Michael.
What kind of a sign is an Aries?
It's a fire sign.
Okay. I didn't know if that was like Sagittarius
and Leo. We are the fire signs. My dad is an Aries. Fun fact. But that gets him a nod from me, number one. And number two, this guy, from what he does on the court for other players to the fact that he now is finding his shot and even his interviews, what I really appreciated from him, and I think it's been mostly this week, I feel like he's really opening up about the other side of the Heat culture. I think everyone very much knows that, Heat culture means a crazy good work ethic. It means being in world-class shape. It's not anything to play around with, and it's not for everyone. There is a fun side to Heat culture, though, and I don't feel like players often touch upon that, and I don't know if it's an intentional thing or not. Kyle keeps bringing up, all the fun that they're having and the fact that, they do work hard, but they play hard too. And I love that. I think it's a side that we haven't really seen from players. So for me, it's Kyle.
My culture player of the week is an easy one. And I know we like to say that culture player of the week is about more than just points and more about, more than just the offensive side of the ball and like the box score and everything like that, but it has to be Tyler. And I know that there's a more obvious one in Jimmy Butler, who is now entering certain conversations that I think he belongs in, but probably won't get anyways. But here's my thing with Tyler. It's him embracing the sixth man role, making it his own, and evolving his game to the point where he can't easily be stopped. He is not, and I will say this admittedly, he is still not, in my opinion, on the same level as players like Trey and Luka. Like those are world-class guys already. Tyler Herro can get to that level, in my opinion, if he continues to evolve. And he is starting to show signs of that. The way he's able to go up for a shot and decide to pass out of it if he thinks it's the best move. The way he's learning to pass the ball. His rotations on defense are getting better as well. And the reason why I picked him for Culture Player of the Week really came from tonight. There was that one sequence where him and Luka went right after each other on back-to-back plays, right? It was Luka made a layup. So Tyler got the ball, really quick outlet, drove straight to the basket. He makes a layup. So then Luka gets the ball back, which is how I know Luka heard the interview. He hasn't addressed it, but I know he heard it.
Oh, for sure.
Luka comes back down. Tyler's on him. He takes a couple dribbles, step back three, misses it. And Jimmy grabs the rebound. And I could tell that Jimmy was like, all right, kid, here you go. Like it was the whole team, just like everybody step back. This is Tyler's moment. Go do you. Outlet pass to Tyler. He's guarded by Luka. Couple dribbles, step back three, absolutely drains it in his face. If that isn't Heat culture, I don't know what is. It's one of those, it's like the old school Miami Hurricanes, which I think the Heat have a lot of, right? It's like, I'm going to talk about it, right? I'm going to talk about kicking your ass. And then I'm going to kick your ass.
Oh, they're about it.
Talk because about it, that's what
100%.
We do.
Yeah.
And that sequence really embodied it for me. Tyler's been playing great as of late. But we talked about sixth man of the year at the beginning of the year, like within 5 reasons and everything is, I think a lot of people are just kind of, let's just push the agenda. It's fine. It's fine. This man deserves to be in that sixth man of the year conversation.
Sometimes
legitimately.
Manifestation works out here, Michael.
Tyler, I think you deserve 6th man of the year, not because 5 reasons said you do, but because you've worked for it. But
I'm just saying, sometimes if you talk about things, they come to fruition. And I'm going to call you out because at some point, I think it was last week, you and I were having a personal conversation. And I think you said it was the one time you believed in the universe. So I have had at least one confirmation from you. Yeah, I know it had nothing to do with basketball, but
here's the thing. But then the Dolphins played another game and I went back to hating the universe. So it's fine. I genuinely believe my whole like distaste of the universe purely comes from the Miami Dolphins. I've waited long enough. I need a little something. And the universe is just like, nah. So
yeah, I don't think football is necessarily like important enough for the universe to focus on.
Basketball considering is?
No, there's a big difference between manifestation and the universe, by the way.
This is not, people want to hear basketball talk.
I don't know. I feel like our followers and listeners probably know more than you think they do.
Oh, I'm sure they know a lot. And I'm sure they know enough to be like, manifestation, get out of here. Talk about the Heat.
All right. We are going to talk about the Heat, but we're going to talk about the Heat off the court because they released a super exciting campaign, Miami Mashup, on Monday. I can't believe it's only Tuesday, right? This week is crawling by. But if y'all haven't checked it out already, Michael and I have addressed this in a prior episode, and we were talking about the fact that they look like a ransom note. The Heat are very aware that they look like a ransom note.
Talked about that.
Oh, and I still think they look like a ransom note. You also mentioned your
kidnapping history as a child.
I wrote ransom notes as a children. As a children.
I'm not editing this out.
As a child, plural notes, me, one person. I wrote them. I never stole anything. It's not like I like took someone's hamster. Anyway, the point is they still look like a ransom note, but with the story behind it, who cares? And how can you not love them? For anyone who didn't know, please go check out the 5 on the floor that I did with Ethan. And we were joined by Michael, who explained the entire backstory. I will not bore you because he does a much better job. Yes, not Mr. Michael. Thank you. It's super customizable. The players got to choose their own numbers, and they got to pick from, I think it was 7 different like styles of numbers. Obviously, the guys who only have one number only pick one, but someone like Tyler or PJ got to mix and match. And then for fans, you guys can create your own, or you can get the ones that the guys made themselves. There's like 50 to 100 different combinations. It's wild. Like I said, go check that out because the story is pretty cool. Also, just want to give a shout out to Heat Creative. They are the only team in the entire league that did not design through Nike. Heat Creative actually designed their own jerseys, which I think is awesome. But how are you feeling about all of that? I know, again, we made a comment about the ransom note. I still stick by it. It looks a little ransom notey. How are you feeling about kind of the whole backstory? Are you getting anything?
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I wasn't super bought into the jersey when I first saw it. And I think listening back to that pod, which if you haven't listened to, you need to go check out. It was really well done. The way they explained kind of the whole thing and what I really liked about listening to it was the way that Michael McCullough explained, we know that it's been leaked. That's just the way everything goes now. He's like, but it's hard to get reasoning and like something when it's like, here's a picture of it, enjoy it.
When we got the press release even, and I was reading through it, my mind was kind of blown because I would have never from one leaked image known all of that. Even the detailing on, the piping on the jersey and the years on the shorts. But beyond that, obviously the backstory, you're not going to get that from a leaked picture.
Like it felt like it was just like, oh, let's just mix them all up and put them on everybody. I didn't know that they were customizable by player. I didn't know that they put it up to them to decide exactly what they wanted to do. I didn't know that we as fans would have the opportunity to buy the jersey and customize it in any way, shape, or form that we wanted. So we can make it all look like one really clean design all the way through, or we can mix and match whatever we want with it. I think it needed the story. And I think that was a big part of it. And I think it's a great way to show what makes this team so unique, right? Not just the players on the court, but like Heat culture in general, like that is us, right? You can't just like look at one thing and feel like the Heat or Heat culture, which is why I think a lot of times national media gets it wrong. You can't just watch our highlights. You can't just watch, one game and feel like you really understand this team. You have to kind of get to the root of what's happening here. You need to see where did Jimmy come from? Where did Bam come from? What did they go through this past season? What has Tyler gone through? Duncan Robinson coming up from the G League, PJ Tucker being rejected by the Bucks only to tell them, F you, I'm not going to win a championship somewhere else, right in your face, right? Kyle Lowry always feeling like he was a fit in Miami and finally make it down here to play along one of his best friends. There's so many different moving parts to this team that all just found their ways here because this is where they felt they belonged. And I think this jersey really proves that and like shows that in a better way than any single jersey could have done, right? They could have come out with one sleek design, maybe one more Vice jersey, but they instead came out with it this way. And honestly, like I said, at first, when I saw the picture, I was like, what are we doing? But now that I've heard the story and I understand it, I think it's really cool.
The craziest part to me was I was talking to someone else from the organization offline about this, and this concept, it was 2+ years old. So it wasn't even made for this current team, but there is no better team, in my opinion, to roll this campaign out with, which again, I'm sorry, believe in what you want to believe. That is crazy universe timing to me, because 2 years ago, I'm sorry. I don't care what you think. That is crazy. You roll this out 2+ years before. The guys on the team are completely different. The vibe is different. The identity is different. And when it comes out, it is perfect. There is no one can tell me that like a guy like PJ is not made for what this jersey concept came out of. Like, honestly, just wait for the sneaker combos.
Yeah, your love for PJ is just. Is he your favorite Heat player currently? Because it really feels that way.
After Jimmy, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, mine goes Depot, and then it goes Duncan.
I know.
And then I think I got to put Baby Goat right after that. Because
that seems about right for you.
Yeah. You know what? Now that I think about it, his whole little like back and forth with Luka. Did you ever watch what was it? I think it was like the rookie challenge a few years back, and it was Dion Waiters and Tim Hardaway Jr. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I'm sure I watched it because I watch all of those, but
there was a whole sequence between Dion Waiters and Tim Hardaway Jr. I think they went sound of this. Something like 6 shots in a row, right? They're on opposite teams, and Dion went and he would shoot a deep 3 and he would make it. And then Tim Hardaway would come down and he'd shoot a deep 3 and make it. And they went back and forth like that for about 6 plays. It was the coolest thing. And of course, at the time, Dion Waiters was in Cleveland. So I'm like, yeah, I don't like you. And Tim Hardaway Jr. being Tim Hardaway's son, I was like rooting for him. That was one of the coolest sequences ever. And that's kind of what this Tyler Luka felt like. Like if this was an all-star game, him and Tyler would have just went back and forth.
Oh, absolutely.
The entire game. Just always shooting in each other's faces. And it was awesome. But
now I feel like I have to pick a third player because you said 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. So who'd you say? You said PJ and Jimmy?
Jimmy's my number 1, then PJ. But now I need a number 3.
Oh, you know what? And I love Tyler, but I think I have to tie Tyler with Bam.
I think I'm going. Ooh, this one's hard for me. I think I might have to do Kyle because I've discovered he's a fire sign.
Your reasoning?
But it's like Jimmy, like way up there, and then like PJ, and then like number 3 through like the rest is just like I love them all, but Jimmy's my guy.
Wow.
Jimmy's my guy. Let me ask you this though before we move on from this topic. Were there any other city additions? I think they're all called the remixes this season, but are there any other jerseys that you liked?
I can say this confidently. I have not checked them out. The only thing I know is that Oklahoma City has a bad jersey because Robin Lopez tweeted that out. That's all I know.
They're just white.
That's boring.
I like them. They're clean. I think the Raptors, I feel like, is the most controversial one. I feel like people either love it or hate it. I actually like them. But I'll circle back with you on this because I am curious to hear your thoughts.
Wait, I'm going to look it up now. So if you want to vamp for a little bit, and then I can look it up.
Well, I was going to.
Is this the black and gold one?
Yeah, but with the old school Raptor.
Oh, wait a minute. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet. Oh, wait, with the Raptor?
I think it's pretty dope.
Why do people not like it? You know what? Time out. I do think they just need to bring that jersey back into circulation.
Oh, for sure.
The one that Vince Carter used to wear.
Yeah.
That jersey was the best.
We were talking about that old jersey at work, and we're like, everyone loved them. Like, there's not one person who is anti.
What's cooler than a freaking Raptor dribbling a basketball and then coming right at you?
Mm-hmm.
And especially,
but I like the black and gold. I feel like it was a good, like it's literally the remix thing. I think is a perfect representation of it. Like they took the old and put a little bit of like Drake in there.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I mean, that's what they did.
It's Drake. I'm not Drake's biggest fan, so I could have done without the Drake mention, but that's fine.
That's interesting. I think we've talked about this already, so I don't know why I'm surprised, but
yeah, I mean, I thought it looked cooler in purple and red.
No, sure, but I'm just saying, like, I do like it.
I like that they brought the Raptor back, though. Like, I think the Raptor needs to just be a staple, which hurts, admittedly.
There's no good transition to this. I was gonna talk about Jimmy for MVP.
Oh, you mean Jim VP?
Jim VP, yeah.
Okay. And I think we need to just have an honest, we just need to have an honest conversation about this.
I keep it 100 all the time about everything, better or worse.
Debatable. So, debatable. The way it is right now, right? Let's just say you took the season as it currently is, and you just said, let's take these 7 games, average them out to 82. The Heat finished first in the East. Jimmy has an amazing stat line. Jimmy deserves to be in the MVP conversation at that point. No questions asked, right? Yes, you just nodded your head. I will take that as just like confirmation in and of itself.
But yes, he deserves to be in the conversation.
Right, I just expected a little bit of expounding on that. That's fine. We're here.
No, I mean, I know what you're going to say. He deserves to be in it. That he get overlooked. He's not going to be in it. Like we're.
But I just think barring, like, unless the Heat do come in first, like literally first in the Eastern Conference, I don't see where Jimmy gets thrown in because of his play style. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's not that I don't think he deserves it, because I do. I think the other thing to this is that he has a great supporting cast, and that doesn't take away from what he's doing. In a way, honestly, it kind of only makes his case stronger, in my opinion, because you still have a great supporting cast and you're able to give that production. I have a feeling, though, that other people who the voters, whoever they tend to be every year, will not see it that way. I feel like they're going to kind of look at it and be like, oh, the Heat are doing well because, there's 4 main guys, if you include Tyler at that point, who are, making the team that good, or who got the team, to be the first seed or the best in the NBA, whatever the case may be. We just get overlooked. People don't like to like us. It is what it is.
But I think it's more than just that, right? And I think that's what we fall back on a lot as Heat fans, which is, like, oh, they don't like us, which is true. It is valid, right? To a certain extent. But I also do think it's his game, right? It's not a flashy game. It's not a lot.
But didn't Jokic win last year?
Jokic's game is flashier than Jimmy's. That's for sure. Yes, it is. A big man to be making those passes is pretty friggin' flashy.
Well, he's pretty just the same thing over and over again. Impressively so, but I don't think he's flashy.
I'd say he's flashier than Jimmy, though.
I don't think so.
Wow, that's a debate. I feel like most people be on my side, but maybe I'm just totally off base here. Like,
I think Jimmy's like an exciting player, and I think that he is an aggressive guy, and I think that he, maybe not last year, but in general, has a lot of tricks up his sleeve, whereas Jokic to me he's not fundamental, because for that size, he shouldn't be as talented as he is, but I don't know. I think just the same thing over and over again. It's very sound, but I don't find it entertaining.
But Jimmy's the same thing over and over again too.
No, I feel like he has a bit of like grittiness there. There's also, I think,
right, but that's what I'm saying. It's always I'm going to drive hard to the basket, and I'm going to get some contact. I'm going to fight through the contact, which is great. I love Jimmy. I just think flashy isn't a word I would use to describe his game.
But I would not use flashy for Jokic either, if we're going down that road.
I would say it's flashier than Jimmy, is all I'm saying.
I'm really curious to what people think. Let us know, because I'm not like trying to say definitively one way or another. That's really interesting to me.
But regardless, I think Jimmy's play style doesn't scream MVP conversation. And I think the only way it would is if the Heat were number 1 in the Eastern Conference. And he has to be averaging essentially 24 or 25 points per game
25,
to go along with 7 rebounds, 6 assists, right? He has to have some pretty crazy numbers. And continue his steal mark, right? Which I think right now he's at like 2.8 steals per game, just behind Paul George. If he continues to do all of that for the entire season, sure. But I think you and I both know that he finds themselves to be inconsistent at times. Maybe this team will be different, but history has shown that they will do that. We've said they will be the 3rd seed in the East Conference for a reason, right? Some of those inconsistencies are going to come into play. I just don't see it happening. I see it much more likely going to somebody like Stephen Curry, maybe a Kevin Durant, the usual conversations, because that's the way it goes. I mean, how many times is LeBron going to be in the MVP conversation? It's just always going to be that way. And I don't think Jimmy is ever going to get the national respect he deserves to get that. So
no, I agree. I do think part of it is that I also, to the point that I was making earlier, it's going to be harder for him, I think, to stand out when he has such a strong team around him. Whereas maybe for some other guys who have won over the years, they really stood out because it was just them. So I would love for him to at least be in the conversation, like top 3, top 4. It'll be curious to see what happens. It's way too early for this. But one thing that I think we were both perhaps wrong on, although again, it is early, we haven't really been having rebounding woes. And I think both you and I were a little bit concerned about that. But through 6 games, so not counting tonight, I think the rebounding rate was like 57%. Defensive rebounding was almost at 80%.
They were number 1 in the league, I believe.
Yes.
In terms of rebounds per game.
Were we wrong? Is this going to continue? Is it too early to tell? I'm happy to be wrong on this one.
Yeah, I will say admittedly that we were wrong in terms of thinking that it would be a big issue, where I think in my head, I assumed that the lack of traditional size would have been an issue. Right. And I understand not everything is about size, but at a certain point, you're going to face a team that's bigger than you. And a guy like Markieff Morris just isn't going to be able to box out somebody else, right? That's much bigger. I understand they're tough, gritty players, and I'm not taking that away from them. But sometimes size is just what's going to win out when it comes to rebounds. The one thing I will give this team a lot of credit for, and why I think they're winning on the rebounds, is their hustle on the defensive side of the ball is really shining through. On the offensive side of the ball as well. But they're getting a lot of these rebounds because they're hustling to them, because they're getting there first. And they're also the number 1 defense in the NBA.
Well, and to be honest, I think part of that
a ton.
Might just be because they know they don't have size. So if they don't have size, they're going to have to do something else to make up for that. So I think guys like Kyle, like Tyler, Bam too, of course, are really just conscious of the fact that, okay, we don't have that size. That could be a void, especially against, teams like the Bucks, for example. So I think they're doing what they need to do. I don't necessarily think it's going to be as strong maybe all season because, people get tired and different matchups call for different things. But I do think that maybe we overlooked the fact that they were conscious enough of it to fill that gap. But again, happy to take the L on that one.
Yeah, I think they're definitely not going to end this season as the number 1 rebounding team in the NBA. I think we can both agree on that. But I think they can very easily finish in the top 12 in rebounds, which for the way this team plays basketball and the way they defend, that is going to be more than good enough. And again, the defense being as good as it is, I think it leads to a lot of those rebounds because opponents are just missing all these shots because the defense is so good. And the defense is really good on a 1-to-1 basis. So you can have more people inside grabbing the rebound. Whereas before we would have had a bunch of guys trying to double team somebody, or, if they're coming off a screen, they got to figure it out. But because a guy like Kyle is so good on, the pick side of defense, he can get around it and still get to his guy or send that guy after him. And Kyle's got his assignment 101 and it's fine. The way they play defense is so good that I think that's the biggest reason why they're getting so many of these rebounds. And because I don't see the defense going away, it's hard for me to sit here and say, yeah, the rebounding is going to be a huge problem. Like I said, top 10, top 12 in the NBA easily, actually. So
rounding it out with a former Heat member.
Oh, I thought you were going to say rounding it out and you were going to bring up Zion again.
No, but you know what? For anyone who called me bogus, I would like you to go take a look at Zion, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. Because it's not necessarily that I was catching hate, but people had a lot to say about me having a lot to say on that. And again, just go watch the video for yourself. But what I was going to bring up is we need to save Goran from the evil That is the Toronto Raptors. Nick Nurse has given him, I think, 2 or 3 DNPs by now. And
Healthy
then had the
DNPs.
audacity to say that him and Goran talk every day and that he keeps telling Goran, don't worry, just stay ready. Boy, who are you telling to stay ready? This is Goran Dragic. If I could go over there and slap Nick Nurse in the face, I would.
Whoa.
Just saying, bring Goran home, find a way. I don't know how it works in the buyout market. I'm not sure what's legal and what's not. I thought he had to be gone a year. I could be wrong. Get him out of there. They're not appreciating him. I'm done.
So you're going to fly all the way to Toronto. You're going to buy
far.
yourself a gold
here.
and black Toronto Raptors jersey.
No, they're going to gift it. I'm going to slap him and then they're going to be like, you're right. And here, for you having made this realization, here we go. And then I'm going to take a photo with Drizzy and I'm going to be on my way. That's how the story is going to go.
Listen, there have been a lot of things fantasized about, you know, with this Heat and getting certain players a lot. That is the most outlandish thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You have a better chance of sipping rosé with Pat Riley than any of this happening.
I wouldn't be so sure. My life is pretty crazy. The fact that I don't have like an entire Lifetime like series. Actually, I don't even know if it would be on Lifetime because it's not all that like romantical. But like Bravo, I think I would be housed on Bravo if I had to pick.
I think that's like an investigation channel or something like that for like really crazy people. I could see you having a documentary on there.
No, okay, it's not me. It's my life.
Oh, you could be the aliens guy from National Geographic.
I saw you tell Juan earlier that he's not of this earth, and now you're talking about aliens. Like, is there something going on that we need to know about?
I just watched Dune. That's what's going on.
Okay, yeah. Or you're from a different planet, but that's neither here nor there. How do you feel about this Goran situation? You're not upset?
No.
Right. I'm looking for a new co-host. If anyone wants to apply, I will.
First of all, I don't think you want to go through a whole other application process. Okay.
Oh, mine will be much shorter than that of another show's. Thank you. It'll literally be what's your sign, and then I think we're good.
Wow, it's kind of rude. Look,
you know, I asked that during that application system process as well.
The application system. The thing with Goran is he's not currently on the Heat, so
yeah, this is a really bizarre world you live in where nothing else matters except for your one like point of interest, and everything outside of that's just
like, no, I'll catch up. I'll see what's happening around the NBA. But like, look, if Goran is not playing, Goran's not playing.
But you can have thoughts on other things, even if it doesn't directly.
Goran needs to be in Dallas. He doesn't want to be in Toronto in the first place. So in my opinion, it's
Dallas. He needs to be back with Mana.
In my opinion, it's better he's not playing because then he's not going to get injured and he can go play where he really wants to with his best friend.
Okay, fine.
Luka.
See, that is a take. That was all I was asking for. Not he doesn't play for Miami, so.
I mean, he doesn't play for Miami, so plus he'd
all
be
right,
going to the enemy.
I
he'd be going to the enemy in Dallas.
I feel like we've been talking for a long time now, so we're gonna end it here before my aggression towards Nick Nurse turns somewhere else. Thank y'all for listening. I'm sorry we're a day behind
or watching.
We're here. We're watching, listening, and watching. Double up. Good night, y'all.